Greetings, film freaks. We are the Podcorn Kernels. Join us as we discuss the hard and often indigestible truths that are at the center of the fluffy and delicious world of cinema. Season 2.
What's poppin', people? Welcome to the Podcorn Kernels Podcast. My name is Adam, and joining me in the earholes is Harry. Say hello, Harry.
I wish Ray Harryhausen was my dad. Oh, Dad, can I play with your skeleton soldiers? No, son, they're integral to my animation technique that will help integrate the live action with the stop-motion models for my upcoming masterwork, Jason and the Argonauts. I was the protege of Willis O'Brien, and I can't mess this up. He did The Lost World, you know. You could have just said no, Dad. Why are you being a prick? I just want to play with the badass skeleton soldiers. What?
On today's episode, we will be talking about stop motion. This is a 2023 film directed by Robert Morgan and stars Aisling Franciosi, Stella Gonnet and Tom York. IMDb describes the synopsis as follows. A stop-motion animator struggles to control her demons after the loss of her overbearing mother. Here is an original song to support the synopsis.
No, you'll never eat meat again. If you eat meat, walk away now. No, you'll never eat meat again. If you eat meat, walk away now. Life was nice to her, but the girl couldn't see the wood for the trees. Controlled by her mother, now by her art. One leads the other, where does one start? Creating more grief by ignoring the trauma. Time is a thief that lurks in the corner. A heart broken by control. You can't animate a soul. No, you'll never eat meat again. If you eat meat, walk away now. No, you'll never eat meat again. If you eat meat, walk away now.
This episode is brought to you in association with Acorn Media International and AIM Publicity. These wonderful film distributors and publicity peoples kindly sent us a copy on Blu-ray for us to give the Podcorn Kernel treatment. If you like the sound of stop motion, you can stream it on either Shudder or Acorn TV, you can rent or buy on VOD, or you can go old school and grab yourself a copy on DVD or Blu-ray. Stay tuned until the end of the episode to hear more about the special features included in the physical media versions. Let's start with some facts about the film. While it might sound extreme, using real meat for stop motion is an actual technique used by stop motion legend Jan Svankmajer. More like Ham Stankmeyer, am I right?
I'm glad you brought that up. I had a little look into old Jan Svankmajer's backlog, and he had a 1989 short called Meat Love.
Does he make love to meat?
He doesn't. It tells a lot. It tells a lot about this film and its influences, and if you'd entertain me for a moment, could I potentially show you the 1 minute clip from Meat Love, and you just sort of tell the audience what's happening?
I mean, that's a first on the Podcorn Kernels podcast, and I'm a little anxious, but I'm here for it.
Just
let's go.
What you can see, yeah?
Okay, so we see raw meat, a chunk of raw meat on the side being diced up. Nice bit of meat, to be fair, looks all right. Now it's up, it's moving on its own, it's waddling, it's picked up a spoon. It's now got a sense of self-worth. It's looking at itself. Another piece of meat's looking at the spoon meat. Looks like they're going to ruck. We might have a meat off. The meat without the spoon has slapped the spoon meat's arse, and spoon meat looks happy about it. A tea towel is picked up. Is this commentary acceptable?
Yes.
Now we have a bit of meat. They're jamming to some music. One is clicking his meat fingers to some tunes. They are now dancing. The two pieces of raw meat are now dancing. What I will say is it's impressive, like the effort to make meat animated. They're getting in flour, all the flour fight. This ends in the meat being fried, doesn't it? They're rolling around in flour, which would kill me as someone with a wheat intolerance.
I think they're
being
shagging.
fried. Yeah, they're being fried. I mean, thank you for that. I hope I did the video service.
What do you think?
It was as crazy as I expected it to be when you said the title was called Meat Love.
I think it's a message about how the way we look at a cow, that it's not a sentient being. And then this cow that's been diced up and killed and put on a plate, all of a sudden they get up and dance. That there's still humanity within the cow, even though it's not human, etc. And then we just fry it and kill it again.
I mean, you've read that a lot more deeper than I have. I read it as man's bought a big hefty bit of meat and was like, I'm going to animate it while I sharpen my tools.
They were shagging.
They were shagging meat. What's the title of that if people want to have a look?
That's 1989's short Meat Love by Zhang Svankmajer.
Yeah.
Or Stanky Ham, or whatever you call him. But I read up on that guy. It's so insane. Czech informal, Czech surrealism. Basically madness with a bit of meaning.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. But yeah, I've thought that you'd bring it up because I'm quite sure there's only one fact.
Yes, and that is the fact in question. But yeah, no, that adds a bit of perspective.
Yeah, he's a bit of a stop motion king, apparently, from Czech Republic.
Yeah, well, that he's considered a legend, and now I've actually seen Ham Stankmeyer's work. Like, now I know a bit more about it. And I mean, credit where credit's due. You look at that, and it doesn't look all that impressive, but the process of doing that, like taking a photograph of every little inch of that meat moving, I mean, it takes a lot of time and effort. And I think my commentary on that video that was thrown at me as a surprise, I think the madness of me trying to describe it sort of mirrors the madness of that little video. Yeah. So go and check it out, I'd say.
Two steaks, eh? Two steaks.
I do love a bit of steak. On the review aggregator, Rotten Tomatoes, 90% of 58 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 7.4 out of 10. Don't give away your score, but after hearing that, what are your thoughts and feels?
I don't think 58 critics is a lot. I think
not.
You need about 200 to get a good idea.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
It's not really a meaty collection of data.
What's the calibre of the critics as well? I know Roger Ebert .com didn't rate it. They burned it a little.
Yeah, I got to be honest, because the IMDb page didn't have a lot of facts. I had to go digging, and I found these facts on Wikipedia.
Oh, hit it.
So that was just like a large percentage of only 58 critics liked it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of information out there about this movie.
No, I mean, it is relatively new. It came out in 2023. It's only recently gone on to streaming and video on demand, and the Blu-rays and DVDs out now. But yeah, I think that, I mean, I want to watch the special features. I haven't got round to it yet that are on the Blu-ray, because I would be interested to see what else is out there, what information is about it, because I know we've mentioned about it on the podcast before, that stop motion is something that we both appreciate. The animation process itself is quite intriguing.
It's meticulous.
Yeah,
it's meticulous and I've always been fascinated with stop motion. I'd love to create my own stop motion. Yeah, too much going on now. Too busy.
I don't think I've got the patience for that.
No.
Director Rob Morgan won the Best Director Award for his work on stop motion during the 2023 Fantastic Fest competition. Now, an award is an award, so kudos to Robert Morgan. Well done, mate.
Not a Razzie.
Not a Razzie, no. It's a legitimate award at the Fantastic Fest competition. So at the Fantastic Fest, he won a Fantastic Fest trophy award for his work on this.
That's cool.
Now, I don't necessarily think that this film is one that's worthy of awards, but I'm always here for a first-time director getting kudos from the industry of trying something a little different. And I think, we'll go into it in our likes and dislikes. If nothing else, there is some things that are different to other films that I've seen in terms of the stop motion animation itself. But I'm a fair play to the man. First feature film, wins himself an award. Well done.
Yeah.
We're creators, we're creatives. If we one day win an award, even if it's only an award that we give ourselves, we'll take it.
I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'd award ourselves.
Yeah. What did you like about stop motion?
I love the premise of like trying to complete an inherited stop motion project from an abusive mummy, and that we get to sort of see a stop motion film unfold within our film. And like, I love how meticulous it must be to like create a finished product all on your own. Yeah. Like you're rooting for the progress. I wanted to see more of Cyclops as well. I actually liked the mum's story regarding the Cyclops, about it seeing its dead self on the floor. Like, that's more interesting about the psyche of mind.
Yeah.
Than meat-covered girl getting chased by a meat-covered man. Like, I found the Cyclops one actually really like intriguing, and I actually thought the film was going to develop from that. I thought it would have been, the horror was the mum was abusive to the point where it just got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, for context, the mum's got an idea. They're working on a stop motion animation project together. The mum's losing the use of her hands, so the daughter, played by Aisling Franciosi, is sort of her hands. Gets instructed by a controlling mother what to do with these dolls, essentially.
Yeah, mum's got arthritis, isn't she?
Yeah, so she's no longer able to do it. And I kind of agree with you. The premise of the mother's story was a Cyclops sold their eye to the devil to see their own future, trade their eye to see what happens, and then effectively saw their own demise. Now, like you, if that story was explored from the mother's vision into the daughter's vision as someone who was controlled by the mother, that would have been a really interesting way to see, well, how does she see it? She's been controlled for so long. Now she's taken over the reins of this project. Like you, I completely agree. I think that is the more interesting story out of the two on show.
And the mother abuse story is more interesting as well. It reminded me a lot of De Palma's Carrie, with the relationship she has with her mum in that, because the mum's the tyrant, not this like superstitious magic stuff that's coming through Carrie's character where she can be telekinetic. Yeah, the real issue's the mum, you know, and I wanted it to be more along that line. But when the mum sort of comes out the equation, I do wonder. So the protagonist in it, played by Aisling Franciosi, she meets a little girl in her new apartment where she's going to carry on her mother's work, and I couldn't actually tell if the girl was a figment of her imagination or her when she was younger.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this film that's up for interpretation. It's your own independent perspective, what you take away from it, and I think that's the whole point of the picture. I personally read it as it's her inner child. It's her as a child, as someone who's always controlled, being able to have that freedom, that creative expression to be able to pursue what she sees rather than doing what she's told. That's how I read it. I don't think that little girl was real.
No one else interacts with the girl.
No, they completely, they don't even register that she's there.
Figment of her imagination.
I think so, for sure.
Yeah, pushing that. Yeah. Second, like Aisling Franciosi, I thought she was great in the lead role. I believed her doubt and psychosis to a point where I felt a bit anxious. It's fair to say. Yeah. I was judging her a little for having shit judgment about what's good for her mental health. Yeah. Fucking around with dead fox carcasses after your mum's died or your mum is dying. Yeah. Like, that's just bleak.
I think it's rarely a good idea to be fucking around with a fox carcass.
Oh.
I'd say only probably one time out of 100 is that acceptable behaviour.
Yeah, and dealing with like this Phil Tippett's-esque meaty looking characters made of bone and all that viscera and stuff, and I was just like, go and do some Pingu for a couple of years.
Yeah,
go smash some Pingu.
Have some fun with a penguin. A Play-Doh penguin and relax. You don't have to use dead fox.
Exactly.
Eat that dead fox. If you're gonna use it, consume it. I wonder what fox tastes like. I mirror that. I thought she was great in this. A lesser actor in the lead role would have made this, I hate to say it, near on unwatchable. But she is a really interesting actor. I saw her in The Nightingale, which came out a few years back, and she was fantastic in that as a lead as well. I think she's got a big future ahead of her. And if I'm watching an up and coming actor, I much prefer seeing an actor going for an independent film like this than a production company or a huge conglomerate like Marvel going, no, you're good, you can be in our next superhero film, and then them being signed up to that for the next 5 years. I'd much rather them see them experiment and hone their craft in a film like this.
Yeah, I like she wasn't just a scream queen in a horror. There was a lot more depth to her, and I liked how she was scared of her own mind a bit, which I thought was really good. And she portrayed it really well.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be scared of your own mind if you're digging around in fox guts, right?
Oh God,
yeah.
So I hate that stuff. The cross-contamination with the meat and stuff. No. I find stop motion an attractive medium of filmmaking because you can literally control every facet of the movie. It's yours entirely to be as creative as you can afford. No actors, no crew, singular vision. And I just sat there and I was like, I wish I could get the funds together, to get the cameras, to get the clay, to get the apertures, or whatever they're called, the frames. And I would absolutely love to make my own shorts in stop motion. Yeah. Would adore it. So the minute this film started, I was so interested in the meticulous process. Like when the mum's going 1 millimeter to the left, can you imagine having steady hands for that? I mean, someone over your shoulder going 0.5 millimeter. Oh man, what? I'm not a human ruler.
I would lose it on the first clear instruction.
Yeah.
1 millimeter. Get out of my fucking face. This is too much.
Yeah, the ibs, everything.
Yeah, you have to be a stop motion animator. You have to have the patience of a saint, and I think that's portrayed well in this film, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll jump in that bed with you if you'll allow me.
Yeah.
I love the animation in this as well. I'm a great admirer, like you, of stop motion animation. I love the meticulous nature of the art form, and I deeply respect those who take the time to do it well. The stop motion animation is by far the best thing about this film, and seeing this medium used to make something maddening and macabre was an interesting concept to me. Stop motion offers a deeper understanding of the process, and the animation itself is used to create strikingly disturbing imagery that assists in serving up a strange slice of surrealism.
Yeah.
Now, for me, if it didn't have that in the film, then number one, it would be titled wrong because it's fucking called stop motion. But if it didn't have that interesting element, that sort of seeing the animation used for something really quite disturbing and distressing, instead of sort of upbeat, cute, family-friendly content, if it didn't have that approach using that animation, I don't think I'd have enjoyed this film at all. I've got to be honest. Like for me, the animation itself and how fascinating I find that medium and the exploration of it within this film is by far the main selling point for me. Yeah, I think it's done really well, yeah. Another thing I liked about it is sort of building on that is it's experimental. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel first-time feature film director Robert Morgan used his debut to experiment rather than to entertain. Stop motion as a feature film is a little underwhelming in terms of plot, storytelling and script, but where it fails in the usual metrics I use to rate a film, it kind of makes up for in using an art form and animation process to try different things. Stop motion is at its strongest when it's trying to make things uncomfortable with the use of animation and special effects. And whilst I don't think the film itself is memorable, certain experimental elements were interesting to consume.
I agree with that because it did kind of feel like he was trying to just get to the stop motion aspects of, because he's obsessed with stop motion. He loves it. He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
I think the film was secondary to the stop motion. I think he wanted to get to the stop motion moments so he could really work on his passion.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, you get that sense from minute dot right till minute end. Like the bits, the human interaction with other human characters are almost just there to get to the next part where he can use the animation. And I will say, like, this is his first feature film. Like you said, he's done loads of little shorts using something that he's clearly very passionate about. I think as he grows and develops and undoubtedly gets more of a budget after this, I think he'll lean more into telling a story alongside his sort of creative expressionism, because when you are watching the stuff on screen using that stop motion, using the sort of physical effects, it is impressive. Like, you can't take anything away from that. And to see someone that's been able to build up on their repertoire of doing shorts and being given the opportunity to have a bigger budget, I mean, I'm all for that. And I am excited to see, like, if I hear that his next film is another stop motion in the horror genre with a bigger budget, maybe with a few more established actors, I would definitely want to watch it based on this.
Yeah, I'd prefer a full feature length all stop motion.
Yes.
Because Ray Harryhausen he had a technique called I think it was Dynamotion or Dynamation or something, where he blended stop motion with live action. That's Jason and the Argonauts, etc. But you could tell his real passion laid in the creating of the models, the clay, and having them move. That was where his passion lied. So you could say potentially the acting or the live action sequences were probably lesser.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Marcel's shell with shoes on. You know, you're watching it for the shell.
Yeah.
Anything with the guy getting interviewed in front of the camera, like, give me the shell.
Yeah, where's Marcel? I don't care about you. Get the fuck off the screen.
Full feature length stop animation. Look how long it took to do Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an undertaking. Hence why this film, you know, he got to tickle his pickle with a bit of stop motion, but the rest had to be a film. But in that regard, the film was you've seen it a million times. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I do tend to agree. I haven't seen a lot of horror, as I've mentioned many times on this podcast before. So it's not as well of a trodden path as it is to me as it might be to you and other horror fans. But I do think there's enough about this one that should encourage horror heads to give it a go.
Oh, it's a great debut. It's a really good debut.
Yeah.
Even if a debut is a 5 or a 6, It's still a strong debut. Like you've still just entered the world.
It's exactly that. Yeah. If I didn't necessarily jive with the film itself, I certainly did really appreciate and applaud the fact that he's got a vision and he's using that vision. He's using what he's learned in stop motion animation and making something bigger. So for that, it deserves huge kudos. Mm-hmm. Final thing I liked about it is control versus freedom. Now, stop motion offers interesting food for thought when tackling a mother and daughter dynamic that functions solely on control. Despite large parts of the film not working for me personally, I did find the exploration of control and how hard it is to adapt to freedom once released from those shackles interesting. I think it's easy to assume that once freedom is gained, it is simple to adapt to a world without that control. But I don't think it's that simple. It's never the case. And digging into that was something that did intrigue me.
It's a bit Stockholmy, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you lose the person that abuses you, but also feeds you and protects you.
Yeah. Like, how do you begin to
navigate it?
Exactly. Yeah. If you've spent your whole childhood and your adult life being controlled by an overbearing, obsessive individual, then that person is gone. Like a lot of people would be like, oh, you're free, you can do whatever you want. But when you've been controlled for so long, how do you go about your normal day? How do you adapt to that? It must be really difficult.
Probably never leaves. Probably never changes.
You are right there, sir. I'd imagine that stays with you for a long time.
But that's probably why she tried to continue the project, because the project controlled her.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What else is she going to do?
What are you going to do? And
I think in a film where the strongest selling point is the stop motion animation, I did like that they had that sort of interesting injection of food for thought. I did quite like that.
Yeah, I wish the focus was more always around that table of creation.
Yeah,
I wish it was her losing her mind because she can't get the right shot and stuff, and she unravels through that.
Yeah,
because then it really is called stop motion.
Exactly,
and it stands for that. But yeah.
It's sort of, if it was a descent into that rather than a descent into pure madness, into all of those themes we've just talked about losing someone who's controlled you, about getting control, about wanting to pursue an art, a passion, the pressure of feeling you have to pursue it. Yeah, if it focused solely on the stop motion, like you, I think it would have been a stronger end product. What didn't you like about stop motion?
Exhaustive protocol.
Yep.
Another horror story about someone breaking down in isolation, which you get a lot of, ending with the protagonist being the sort of unreliable narrator. So in the end of this film, she murders her boyfriend and his sister. And, I don't think you go from mum having arthritis to being able to kill two people in a brutal way. Yeah. And also peeling away skin from your own leg vagina.
Yeah.
So she's got a wound on her leg, and she starts to take the blood and skin from that to create other characters, and it gets very visceral. And it's just such a common trope in horror movies that, your antagonist, your protagonist becomes your antagonist, and it all just falls apart.
Yeah.
And it becomes just a world of bleak.
Yeah, that I do agree with you. The escalation at play here, it just happens so alarmingly quick and so over the top that it's a bit like you've just lost your mum and now you're killing two people and making models out of dead foxes and pulling out your own leg and stuff. It's like that descent into chaos for me. I mean, it is a relatively short runtime, and that could be down to budget, could be down to being most of the focus on the actual animation itself. But yeah, I do tend to agree with you with that one. Yeah,
madness is more scary, I find. Like someone's isolation, their loneliness, their having a mental breakdown is actually more terrifying, because it can happen.
Yeah. More
than all of a sudden I'm totally down, killing someone with a camera leg and pushing it into their throat and tearing their throat out. And I was just like, this has been done a million times in horror.
And I don't know about you, it feels like when it takes that turn, there's no turning back. And then it's just like, oh, now it's just it's body horror gore fest.
Yeah.
And then the last third of the final act, you're just like, okay, so now it's just showing us what can be achieved, what this director can do with special effects, with stop motion animation. Look at what I can do. And then it just became that. It sort of abandoned the story. It jumped ship and was just like, look at how messed up I can make things look.
Yeah.
And that's a shame.
It became that, yeah. It definitely, it was like an exhibit of what you can do.
Yes.
Rather than a story.
And don't get me wrong, I like that exploration of an exploration. I liked him being like, I'm going to try this. I've got some money now. I'm going to try this. I do like that. But I do think the story did suffer as a result.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Second is like, You don't make music, Tom. You put on a suit and go to work. That line was so cutting. She's saying this to her boyfriend at the time. She keeps having really ill moments where she has to sort of be nursed back to health by a very caring, loving boyfriend who, you know, has a day job, but he also has his own passions in music. And I thought that line was so cutting because he's cut from our own cloth, that dude.
Yeah.
How tragic that the responsible people with a conscience have dreams, but they got to caulk them to provide and make a living. This is us, man. And it cut me that she was so cruel to him when he's a stand-up dude with a banging goatee.
Exactly, yeah. Number 1, banging goatee.
Yeah.
Number 2, supportive boyfriend. Number 3, hopes and dreams that he's pursuing. That's great. So many of us don't do that. We all have dreams, and a lot of us don't have the balls or the means to at least attempt to pursue them. And then, yeah, she was a bit of a bitch.
But he wants to do music videos, but he has a well-paid job which allows him to, you know, maintain a social life, support his girlfriend. You know, he clearly loves her. And she had a successful mum who did stop-motion films, and she had her whole life sort of... She got a foot in the door in that industry.
Yeah.
And she passed judgment on him because he sees the world for what it is. You know, it's a rat race, and you've got to go and earn money, and you know your hobbies are just that because you haven't had your break and stuff. And I thought that was cutting. I mean, don't get me wrong, she was probably going through psychosis and losing her mind a bit.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the film, she's at the point of no return. But you're right, he's trying to help you.
Yeah,
don't bite the hand that helps.
But some people get given a gap year or two. And their mums and dads will say, go and take a year, 2 years, but when you come back, you're taking your doctorate, you're taking your law degree.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you're not going to get the house in the Cotswolds.
Yeah.
You know, it's like some of us have to really grind.
Yeah, and do what we can to try and realise those dreams.
And most of us have to bury them dreams one day.
Yeah, we fucking do.
Because life gets too real.
Yeah, it fucking does.
And we're not going to see our pensions.
Well, no, we're fucking not.
No, not the way it's going, man.
No. And then you've got other people that their parents are like, here you go, sweetheart, here's £100,000 to go and start your
sandwich shop.
Event organizer.
Yeah,
business, or sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Most of us don't get that.
Why do you want to be an events organizer, Tarquin? Because I'm really good at getting people together, making them. No, it's not true. You want to be the guy known for the partying.
Yeah.
You want to be the guy that set up the party, put the cokehead in the toilet.
Yep.
You do the best parties. Don't lie to me, Tarquin.
Yeah, fuck off, Tarquin.
It went real bleak there, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, but what are you going to do?
Third dislike, cross-contamination. Handling raw meat and then touching tools and tables and things is so dirt.
Yeah.
It put me off steak and meat in general, and I think this is a highly effective vegetarian propaganda piece.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Vegetarians will love this film.
Well, I mean, I watched it with a vegetarian and it was clear she fucking hated it.
Yeah, but doesn't it support that argument?
I feels it does. I mean, the meat on show here, the way it's used to manipulate it to create stuff, and it's all so grimy and dirty and rank and cross-contamination, like you said. My partner's face throughout was a picture. On my second viewing, I'd already seen it and I wanted to see her reaction. I didn't tell her what the film was about. It might have been a bit harsh of me, but I wanted to see just the organic viewer as a vegetarian, and her face was just shocked throughout.
Will you show her Stank Mayer's 1989 Meat Love when you get home?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because when she listens to this episode, she's going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Meat Love.
Yeah, he sounds high on meat and cocaine. I'd be like, no, it's a video show I watch. You show.
Probably one of the greatest names for a film I've ever heard, Meat Love.
Yeah.
You can interpret it in so many ways, unto which I will not divulge here.
Well, we'll let the listener use their imagination.
Yes.
Yeah. Shall I go on to my dislikes?
Yeah.
Tedious terror.
Yeah.
Despite being a fan of the eerie animation and the exploration of control, I found large parts of the film a chore to sit through. The script was a little dull, the performances of everyone bar Aisling Franchosi in the lead felt a little amateur, and the levels of escalation didn't really mirror the events that led up to them. Whilst I don't regret watching the experimental use of stop-motion animation to shock, I was left feeling a little disappointed by an art house horror that wasn't at all scary.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's that as I evolve as someone who watches more and more horror for this podcast, I brace myself for every titled horror because I'm easily scared. And this one, there was a few moments where I grimaced, where I was like, oh, that's a bit dirt. I
weren't scared, I didn't jump, but I was like, to the gore.
It's that. It's like, I'm so glad I'm not eating a steak now. I'm so glad I'm not having beef and vegetable soup. Like if I was eating anything meaty in this, I think I'd have to put it to one side because it is a bit full on, but scary it is not. And I did find a way when the film isn't focused on the animation, which is amazing and fascinating. When it's characters interacting with each other, other than Franchosi in the lead, it just was a bit stale, if I'm being honest.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
When I think of violence in films or gore, if it's like an atom, if you surround that with excellent dialogue, and then beautiful cinematography, the violence it's almost a pleasure to watch. Like the Casino, eye popping out because of the clamp. Tarantino, Death Proof, with the way the bloody bodies get dismembered from the car crash because there's been a brilliant 30-40 minute dialogue between these 4 female characters. Like violence works, gore works if all of its support networks working. But in this, it was just like, I'm average, leg pussy, whole.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then like pulling off little bits of meat and then like doing someone's neck in. You've not earned it.
Yeah.
Violence should be earned in films.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think the structure between the shocks is weak in this one, but like you say, it needs to be a complete package. You know, if you know that there's, or you don't know that there's shock around the corner, if the story's, if you're really engrossed by the story and the characters and the dialogue and the pacing and everything, when that shock happens, it's impactful. When a film like this, when it's lacking in between those moments of shock and scandal and body horror and all these things, it lessens it because you're just like, well, it's weak until it's like really like, whoa, that's a bit.
Yeah, because 3/4 of the film, it's a wound of the mind.
Oh,
but then that last quarter, it's genuine wounds, and I was just like, if you're better off in the mental health sector, you stay there. Stay in the mental health bit.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you're a bit of meat I'd like to love.
How would you have me? Medium rare?
As you are.
Yeah. The 1989 meat love, I think they're sirloins.
They did look nice.
You did miss one thing in your commentary. They start having sex.
I mean, it was coming at me thick and
fast. It was
fast.
worse, and you weren't prepared.
We're not a podcast that just watches something and go, now this is happening. So I am not well versed on that, but okay. I'm glad we experimented. Like this film being experimental, we did some experimenting.
Yeah.
For the audience.
We found the sole influence of this film.
Yep. We did it.
Meat love.
You did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I didn't like about it is slow and stuttery. It's just to build on my last dislike, really. I didn't like that A Gentleman's 90 minutes felt a lot longer. I was excited to watch this one. I was honoured to have it gifted to us so we can brush it with the Podcorn Kernel paintbrush, and I kept waiting for it to pick up and find its feet. Unfortunately, for me, it never really did. I feel this film is more for proper horror connoisseurs who like to see something a little different from the usual scare scene. Now, if you're that person, I advise you check out Stopmotion immediately. But as I'm not really that person, I struggled with it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Now, like you say, it's the usual horror tropes. Like it's that isolation, it's that creative pursuit, it's that obsession on a project. It's all of these things, like you've said, as someone who's seen more horror than me, it's been done time and time before. And we've mentioned, away from that animation, there's not a lot going for this. Well, the lead performance, that's all it's got.
Yeah, and it's almost a possession film.
Yeah.
Because you do see a character over time just become the antagonist.
Yeah.
And it's almost a possession film.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It is. Now, I don't want to sound too harsh on this film, and we've made a good point of it being a feature film debut, and if you're someone who likes exploring new mediums of storytelling, then you should definitely check this out.
There's a huge audience for this film.
Yes, of course.
Huge audience.
Of course. And I can see it'll do quite well on Shudder and Acorn TV.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Final dislike, mortician wax meat made mad girl doll looked like Sonia from EastEnders. If you don't know who that is, she is a character from a popular soap opera over here. Now, it sounds like a huge diss to that actress that plays the role, and maybe it is. But as soon as I saw mortician wax meat made mad girl doll, I saw Sonia from EastEnders, and I didn't like that.
I think we need to disclaim here, don't Google Sonia from EastEnders, because you may run the chance of getting a photo of her kitty ring.
Yes. Unfortunately,
she shared photos.
Unfortunately, the actor that plays Sonia, Natalie Cassidy, had a...
You know her name?
Yeah, I do.
I only know Barry from EastEnders and Phil Mitchell. I don't know the actors' names.
I know Natalie Cassidy, and I do not know why.
Ian Bill.
He's the character.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. But, yeah, as soon as I saw the little doll come to life, I was like, who does that look like?
No.
Who does that? And I was like, fucking hell, it's Sonia from EastEnders. And that is so harsh.
That poor cow, she never gets a break, ever.
I mean...
She might Olivia Colman one day. She might get, like... Olivia Colman was in Green Wing, a little British comedy set in a hospital, and then ended up winning an Oscar.
No disrespect to Natalie Cassidy, but there's not a fart's chance in a hurricane that she's going to go on to the dizzying heights of Olivia Colman, because she's just not as talented.
Oh, man.
Poor Sonia.
No.
Poor Natalie Cassidy.
Well, she's better off than us.
Yeah.
You know, she's had a career. She probably made a good penny.
Yep.
From it, you know, so all hats off to you, girl.
It's all fun and games, eh?
Yeah.
I've got some questions.
Yeah.
What existing film would you like to see remade with stop motion animation?
It wouldn't be anything culty or low budget. I would have to take a big one that was supposed to be brilliant, and I'd do it. Oppenheimer. I'd take Oppenheimer, right? I'm not saying Oppenheimer obviously has exceptional filmmaking involved within it, but there's elements to it that I was disappointed by. You know, the love spin-offs, the distractions from the real true life event that was huge. It was so huge. It was historical. It was one of the biggest things that ever happened in human history, and it was sort of sidetracked with black and whites and like, you know, love. Imagine a nuclear blast with stop motion, with all the cotton wool and stuff, or Florence Pugh drowning in a bath. Amazing. What an exceptional stop motion that would be. Yeah, Oppenheimer.
I mean, that's a great fucking answer.
Thank you.
I'm certainly warmer on Oppenheimer than you are, but I know you're not alone in that camp. I know some people really struggle to connect with a film where they try to chop and change timelines and introduce different character arcs and all of that. Some people did find it a tad too messy. I quite liked it, but I certainly would sign up to watch a stop motion Oppenheimer.
How mad, yeah.
Yeah. Something to that scale, that big of a film, that important of a subject matter in our history to see in an animated form would be incredible. I've gone with Kill Bill. I mean, I love Tarantino. I love all of his films. I love Kill Bill. But just to think of that as a whole stop motion feature. There's a scene in Kill Bill where it's animated, and I always love that. Part of me's always wanted to that whole film to be animated because I love that little sequence within the film.
How would you have it, like Celebrity Deathmatch, like the clay models?
Yeah,
like the beheadings and stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably where that answer stemmed from, because I used to watch Celebrity Deathmatch as a kid, and yeah, I just always envisioned like that mad scene with the bride fighting hundreds and hundreds of the crazy eights or whatever they're called. That I think would lend itself really well to stop motion.
That'd be brilliant.
Animation. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Which director would you like to see use stop motion animation?
I want to say Tino, because no one really does a stop motion of, like, you know, a gangster flick or a single setting. Damien Chazelle, because La La Land has an element of majesty to it, like the backdrops, the moon, the stars, the music. It's, you know, her colourful dress against, you know, a midnight black. Chazelle, he can do a lot of things. I'd like to see him do a stop motion.
I mean, that is a great answer.
Is it niche?
It is niche, and I love me some Chazelle.
Niche like quiche.
Yeah, I love that quiche nichiness. And in his films, they all sort of propose the question, like, what are you willing to sacrifice for your passion? Like, in each one of these films, it's like, you can pursue your passion, you can be successful, but you have to leave love at the door. You've got to sacrifice something. And in all of these films, there's that sort of subject, that sort of sacrifice narrative. It'd be amazing to see him direct a film where it's almost sacrificing of his own time to make stop motion. I think that would be really interesting.
Did you say leave love at the door?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Whitesnake song.
Might be. May well be. I have no idea.
Okay.
For me, the perfect director would be Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh.
The man deals in weird as it is, and I think he would be incredible in laying his hands on something that was so meticulous, and you've got so many possibilities with stop motion.
You win that one for sure.
Well, thank you very much. I'll take that W. But I think Lanthimos in his last film, in Poor Things, certain elements of that felt almost like animated. It felt not real, like the landscapes, the scenery, the settings, all of these things. So yeah, he's quirky enough that I think like him and stop motion would be great.
Sweet.
Friends. I'd love that. What are your 3 favourite animated films aimed at adults?
I struggle so much with 3s because there's so many. I always like more than 3. Fantastic Mr. Fox. I adore that film. I can watch it with wife, daughter. I can watch it on my own, enjoy it, because there's underlining tones of fox hunting and how we look at animals as pests. We're the pests. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Red Turtle made me cry. The Red Turtle. Howl's Moving Castle is exceptional to look at. Oh, from childhood, Watership Down.
Yeah.
Terrifying, brilliant.
Yeah.
That was one of the first, that and Animal Farm was two of the first animations I saw that had adult undertones. And just for shits and giggles, Team America? Yeah, I'll take Team America.
Yeah, I wish I'd remembered Team America, because that is a great fucking shout. That film had me howling. And it's worth saying, animated films now, they've come a long way since we watched them when we were younger. When we were growing up, it seemed that all animated films were specifically targeted towards children. But as the medium has evolved, it feels like now it's the complete package. Kids can watch it and be entertained by the colourful scenes on screen, and adults can sort of dig a little deeper and see, oh, bloody hell, that's really quite deep, and that's affecting to me as a fully grown people's human.
Well, you got me into Cartoon Saloon, and some of them films were really emotional. Yeah. Like about loss, losing a parent and stuff, they're exceptional, and I do thank you for putting me onto them, sir, because now I've watched 4.
Well, I thank you for watching them and listening to my advice. And if you haven't seen any Cartoon Saloon films and you're listening to this, definitely go and check them out. Imagine a Gaelic Ghibli and you've got Cartoon Saloon. It's wonderful worlds.
Wonderfully put.
Yeah, thank you very much. My 3 favourite animated films aimed at adults: Waltz with Bashir, A Scanner Darkly, and Mary and Max. And they're just all films that are strikingly beautiful to look at. Got really deep, profound subtext with them, and they're just really interesting visually, and they also stimulate you in terms of subject matter as well. So they're my 3 favourites.
Oh, quick question: does Waltz ever break away from the animation?
Oh boy, it does.
Does it?
Yeah.
To real life?
Yeah. And I'll leave it there, because that's a film I want to lend you and watch, and the less you know, the better, good sir.
Great tune by Tame Impala.
Yeah, I'm just dropping tunes without knowing them.
Shout out to Tame.
Yeah. What would you rate Stop Motion out of 10?
I think, and it's not to say there is no value in this film. There's a huge market for this film and a huge fan base. I'd have to give it a 5, because I wasn't blown away, but I also wasn't utterly disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to disagree with you, because there's so much to take away from this film. And I think you're right. There is a potential big audience that will love this film when it's sort of been out a bit longer. I can see a lot of people watching it and enjoying it, and it has got the potential to build up a kind of like cult following. But like you, I'd go straight down the middle too, and I'd give it a 5 for all that works. For as much as I admire the experimentation and exploration of a first-time feature director, for how striking and shocking those stop motion animation scenes were, the rest of it faltered. And for that reason, I think I can only really go down the middle. But it's definitely worth your time if you are a horror head looking for something a little different to digest. That gives Stop Motion a total score of 10 out of 20. If you like your animations to be eerie, evil and experimental, or if you have ever wanted to see a distressed daughter deal with the demise of her dodgy mum by digging deep to deliver a duo of dirt-dead dull demons, then Stop Motion could be a film for you. Stop Motion is available to stream on Shudder and Acorn TV, or you can buy or rent from Video On Demand. Alternatively, you can purchase a copy on DVD or Blu-ray. If you opt for a physical media option, you get spoilt with loads of special features that include interviews with director Robert Morgan and lead actress Aisling Franciosi, as well as eye-opening behind-the-scenes access into the dark and sinister world of stop motion. Consider watching this one if you enjoyed Anomalisa, Mary and Max, and Mad God. Should we play a game?
Give it a name, give it a name, give it a name now. We birth a plot and then make a trailer. What the plot?
Action! This week's What the Plot was sent over by Johnny from @JohnnyKryptonite on Instagram. Thanks for sending over your WTP, Johnny. If you're a listener with a movie plot, please get in touch and let us flesh out your blockbuster brainchild and create a trailer for it. Strap yourself in, Dad. Johnny's sent a doozy.
I'm ready. I got a hot drink.
Yeah. Set in London, this story centres on 2 police officers. One is a young up-and-comer who believes that he can make a difference in the world. He is married to the perfect woman and is father to a perfect child. His partner is an older, rough-around-the-edges cop who has been in the game for a long time. This seasoned officer has seen it all and done it all and has a no-holds-barred approach to law enforcement. It is widely suspected that he is a bent copper on the take. The old school bad cop takes a shine to the young pup and his wife, and what starts off as playful work banter soon evolves into bullying and inappropriate behaviour. Whilst out on a drugs bust, the young cop disagrees with his partner's treatment of a drug dealer. Unsure what to do, the cop with a conscience lets a criminal go and attempts to reprimand the professional behaviour of the older police officer.
A good cop, bad cop.
It's a classic good cop, bad cop.
Nice.
It is.
Strong arm, weak arm.
Yep. Annoyed at this act of rebellion, our dodgy cop retaliates by fabricating a story and planting drugs in the young officer's locker. With lots more false evidence, other corrupt circumstances are placed on our young protagonist's head. As a result, he is sentenced to 10 years in prison. During his time inside, our original well-intentioned young buck loses everything. The old dodgy policeman somehow worms his way into his wrongly convicted ex-partner's home and has formed relationships with both the ex-wife and the daughter. Distraught at what has happened, the young innocent man who has lost everything spirals out of control and ends up on the streets. Just when life couldn't get any worse for our down-on-his-luck lead man, he bumps into the very drug dealer that he let escape all those years ago. Grateful for the young cop's decision to let him go free, this criminal gives him a job doing the very thing he used to work so hard to stop. Climbing the ranks of the drug-dealing hierarchy, our side-switching lead man uses all he learned on the force to be a real thorn in his ex-employer's side. Inevitably, these ex-partners are soon reunited as even bigger enemies, and a mutual game of cat and mouse ensues. The policeman tries to stop the newly established criminal, and the wronged ex-policeman does all he can to exact revenge on the man that ruined his life.
Oh dog.
It's a meaty one, eh?
That's got layers.
It's got layers, and Johnny, we love you. You're a loyal listener, so it is an honour for us to give your layered plot idea.
Yeah.
And we'll try our best to flesh it out for you, good sir.
It's definitely one of the longer ones. I would say one you have done and one I have done is a bit longer. A bit longer. So Johnny's actually like third in terms of length.
You're fighting for Europe, Johnny.
But first in terms of charisma.
Yeah, you're winning.
You're the only Batman in my world.
Ah,
Kryptonite.
yeah.
Wow. London. Revenge.
Yeah.
Injustice.
Yeah. Keep saying words.
Hungry. Salt. Sausages.
Okay.
I see a dirt George Mackay from 1917.
Oh, yeah.
Do you pronounce it Mackay?
I do, but I could be wrong.
He got a wonderful stage face.
Yeah, he does.
Wonderful. And he played, do you know what? In 1917, even though he looked young, his dialogue, his demeanour, I was able to believe him to be a very seasoned married man with kids, and his character was in 1917. So I want Mr. George Mackay to play our young buck.
Yeah.
The good Serpico.
Yes.
Old dog, he's actually too old. I might have to change that. I was going to go with Bill Nye. He's too old. He looks too much like a Yorkshire pudding now.
He does look like a very established Yorkshire pudding, you're right.
I was probably basing that on his character in Love Actually, but it's not that. So do you know who I'm going to go with?
Who?
Because he played a really good piece of shit.
Yeah.
Michael Sheen.
Oh.
I think that Welsh little dog, because his work in Unthinkable, is it Unthinkable? When he plays that really shitty terrorist who would like happily let his kids get tortured just so he could let a bomb go off. You know, I go Michael Sheen. I think he can play Devious very well.
I like that because recently he's been in more panel shows and TV shows than gritty films where he gets to really flex his dramatic muscles. And I completely agree with you. I think he'd be really good as a menacing cop.
And rejecting OBEs.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Wife of George Mackay, and this is probably due to my recent watching, but I'd go with Ella Purnell from Fallout. Quite sure she's a Brit.
I believe she is as well.
Quite positive she's a Brit. And she, again, like George Mackay, really striking face. Very memorable face.
Now Johnny's painted them out to be the perfect couple.
Yeah.
Perfect young couple. They're perfect looking young people. So
they would create bronze Adonis children.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yes.
100%. Director, do you know what? I saw one really, really good, and I considered it quite an underrated revenge film, but it was very Fargo-esque, so I can see why it didn't really get the kudos it deserved. But there's a director called Hans-Peter Moland who did Cold Pursuit with Liam Neeson, and it was actually a really funny, dark comedy. Basically, his son's involved in some sort of drug trafficking at an isolated airport in Alaska, and he gets murdered. And old classic, I have a very particular set of skills.
Yeah, he normally does.
Yeah, he's not in this though, thank God. But Hans-Peter Moland to direct because of what he did in Cold Pursuit, which was a really good revenge film. Even though old Hans-Peter probably isn't very well affiliated with London.
Yeah,
he just needs to get a nice little London advisor next to him, like Ray Winston or something. Go, you hit my fucking van!
Yeah.
Pie and meat!
Yep.
Jesus. Yeah, direct. I haven't got anyone for drug dealer.
That's fine. We can give an opportunity to a young up-and-comer.
You got anyone you could think of? But it's a smart drug dealer. He's not like...
Yeah, I don't see
he's
him...
not your basic hoodie, is he?
No, I don't see him in a hoodie with his hands down his pants. I don't see him being that sort of druggie where you can go and get an eighth of weed. I think he's dealing in harder...
Like high class, probably rich banker stock exchange drug dealing.
Yeah.
For quite high profile. I have no idea. Give it to any up-and-comer. Give him a chance, man.
Yeah, though. We're here to give people chances, and someone will get a chance in this project.
Give him a chance. I titled the film Tit for Tat. So I'll tie that up. I think Tit for Tat works because it's revenge and stuff, isn't it? And it's kind of like, do you know what? It kind of reminds me of, was it Kubrick who did The Duelists? I can't remember if it was with Harvey Keitel and Carradine. But it reminds me of that. It just keeps escalating. The more and more they get revenge, the more and more they insult each other, it gets to that point. And I thought tit for tat because that sounds Londonish.
It feels like a very British saying.
Yeah. It's almost a Cockney saying. Could have called it revenge or something.
Yeah.
Which is great for an action film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think tit for tat. Yeah. So George Mackay as young buck. Old dog would be Michael Sheen. Wife Ella Purnell. Director Hans-Peter Moland who did Cold Pursuit. And I'd call it tit for tat.
Johnny was a dreamer on the right side of the law.
I'm going to make a difference, Ella. I was born to do this.
Crypto has been on the job too long to dream. He's been dealing with the dirty underbelly of London for decades. Oh, you can try and change the world all you want, young pup, but the world, it don't want to change. You have to adapt to survive out here, son. From Hans-Peter Moland, director of Cold Pursuit.
Your Honour, I didn't do those crimes. It was crypto. Everyone knows he's dodgy.
Every story has two sides. Sometimes you have to do what's wrong to do something right. Well, look what we got here, eh? You should have stayed away, son. Your wife and kid are happier here than me with ever no luck I'm after them before, eh? Starring George Mackay, Ella Purnell, Michael Sheen, and a young up-and-comer you haven't even heard of yet.
You took everything from me. This isn't over until you are.
Tit for tat. Coming to a screen near you soon.